Okay, going to do a little update this morning on Voyage of the Malecon, how you pronounce it. My friend's journey in sailing from La Rochelle, France, down into the Mediterranean. Bring you up to date on where they are, what's happened along the way, been some kind of interesting developments. Let me move myself out of the way here just a minute and talk about the route over the last few days. I think the last time we looked at where they were in Majorca, the Isle of Majorca, and then they sailed northward, as you can see on the route map, up to the coast of Spain. They spent several days in Barcelona, seemed to have a good sightseeing visit there, some pretty good food. Then they left Barcelona and sailed almost directly east, as you can see on the route map, towards the island of Sardinia. That's where they are currently. They had a rather rough voyage from Barcelona to Sardinia. I'll let John fill in some details on that, but I talked to him earlier, and that seemed like was pretty rough, and some seasickness. So they are currently, let me change this a little bit. They are currently in a marina there on the north coast of Sardinia. This looks like a relatively large marina from this aerial view, but it really isn't. John said it's really quite small, and the slips are quite small, so it's very difficult to get his boat in there and get it moored. So anyway, that's a little bit of an update since the last podcast as far as how things have progressed. I'm going to fade myself out, and when I come back, I will have John on the phone. Okay, so now I'm back. I've got John on the phone, and we're going to get this thing started. But first question I got for you, John, you're in Sardinia, right?
Yeah,
Have you been eating a lot of sardines?
that sounds like a stupid question, but however,
It
it is
is pretty
not.
retarded, isn't it?
Yeah. No, we've been eating quite a few sardines, and here's the funny thing. So, Jorge and I are we love seafood, and the fishier the better. David, however, given his upbringing, does not like fishy food.
Given his
Um,
upbringing, what's wrong with David's upbringing?
well, I don't know. I got to attribute it to something, or he doesn't like the food we like, right?
Oh, okay. Well, to each his
So,
own, I
so
suppose.
we this and so you think sardines, you get them in the can, they're small, like 4 inches.
I
They got
thought,
big
isn't that the
sardines.
way they come? I've never seen any sardines except in a can with
Now in Sardinia, sardines are bigger,
some kind of
much bigger.
oil and or tomato shit poured on them.
Right. Well, no, that's not how they do it here. So the sardines will be, 8 or 9 inches long, and my favorite so far has been fried sardines, and it's the whole sardines, and I mean the whole sardine, the interior of everything, the head,
Like
the
the
teeth,
guts and stuff. They don't even take the
and
shit out of it.
well, they might take the guts out, but they still have their whole head and skull structure and the eyeballs and the skin and everything, and they're fried, and they're quite oily. And if you like the taste of fishy food, man, they're really good.
Really?
Especially the head, it's like crunchy and it's real, and they're quite large. Like I said, 8, 9 inches.
Are they kind of
Um,
crispy fried, or how are they? How is
well,
the consistency of it?
the ones we like, and here it's just like, you want fries with your burger, it's you want sardines with your burger, kind of thing. So Jorge and I loved them, and I think Dave really was coming around. He's starting to come around. If you look in our pantry here in the boat, we have bologna, we have American cheese and Wonder Bread.
Oh, it sounds gourmet. Is that gourmet food?
No, the funny thing is that's Dave got some white bread, And we've been getting fresh, bread at different places, and of course the bread in 2 days turns into a piece of stone because it's natural. But that white bread that Dave got, we got it like 2 months ago. It's still fine.
Well, it's got enough chemicals in it probably to keep it fresh, right?
It's Yeah, it's unbelievable. It will never go bad.
Sound like y'all need some hunter gatherers along. Or some
Oh
gatherers,
well,
I
yeah,
mean, not the hunters,
and,
but you
and
got the hunters, you need the gatherers.
yeah, well, the trip has been real interesting in a lot of respects. Like for example, um, Dave has really stepped up as far as cooking. Jorge and I haven't cooked a
I
goddamn
mean, how
lick
do you
since
step
we.
up to cheese and bread? I mean, what kind of stepping up does that take?
Well, when Dave wants a snack, that's what he gets. But when it's time to eat a meal, he'll go down. It's funny. He'll go down into the galley, and he'll just stand there by himself, like he's in a daze. And he's doing. He's thinking about what we have and what he's going to make.
So
And
you
then
got three items, so that probably doesn't take a whole lot of thought, huh?
no, no. So early on, we went shopping, and at one of these super huge supermarkets in France, and we bought every manner of meats that you can imagine. We even bought a vacuum sealer, and we sealed all these meats individually, and we put them in this big freezer that we have on board. And what Dave will do is he'll go down and, he'll just look at the different meats. What are you doing there, Dave? Turn that down. He'll get some meats and then maybe some vegetables that are we have frozen, and he'll make some concoction. And usually it's like, hey, what do you got? What are you making? And he usually says, I don't know. Uh, so he made this what he said it was going to be potato soup, and I thought, well, that just sounds very Irish and sucky, but it was fantastic.
Well, Verhoof
So yeah,
isn't a very Irish sounding name by any stretch of the imagination.
well, the way he cooks potatoes, you'd think he's a goddamn Irishman.
So how are
Yeah,
you
so
finding Sardinia? I mean, you're kind of up there in the freaking boondocks, it looks to me like.
actually, we are. We're in a marina, and that we really don't fit in. We're like just in the entrance, and we're in their visitor dock, and if you look off of our bow, there is this enormous rock that it's like, man, is that deeper than it looks? And it turns out, no, it's not. It's this enormous rock where they have chains attached for these other boats.
I just
We're
changed
we're
the
in a
background view to show where you are in the marina, basically.
Yeah. So this is
Although I can't see that big rock you're talking about.
well, yeah, we're off the beaten path. It's a real small town where we are here in Sardinia. Um, it's not this is not a touristy town. And one thing that we've been doing, all the places we've been going to, we look at real estate. Just hey, how much does real estate cost? And some of
Uh
the
huh.
places we've been to, you can buy I don't know if they call it a flat, but it's there's a building where down below is a restaurant or something, and then up above the next 5 floors. And none of the places we've been to have skyscrapers. So
Have
these are
what?
all buildings
They have what? Yeah,
skyscrapers. These are all buildings that are hundreds of years old.
I see.
They're
Yeah.
brick and mortar and stucco. And then, the interior, they kind of renovate them, make them look however you want. And we're looking at millions of euros for
Hmm.
these really small places. Well, we're going around looking at real estate here, and it's like 60,000 euros, 80,000 euros, for a place to live. Much, much more affordable. But
Huh.
when you walk around, it is not the same kind of flavor, or there's not a lot of accoutrements, if you will. And they close what I don't even know what day it is, but yesterday we were arrived in the morning and I was like, hey, let's go get something to eat. Everything was closed, and we finally found a restaurant that was open, and then a bunch of kids showed up and they were chanting like soccer hooligans. It was a weird experience here. Just very 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 different.
I think the environment there in Sardinia is a very closed culture, is it not? I mean, the people are very much keep to themselves.
Well, I would agree with that, and I would agree with that. Even I would expand to maybe the Spanish population, which I may have hit on this before.
Uh
But
huh.
what's interesting to me is that the Spaniards are unlike France, for example. Um, I'm sorry, I say Spaniards. These are Italians here in
Okay.
Sardinia. This
Yep.
is a part of Italy, but and this is just a very small cross section of Italy, so it's quite different. Everywhere we go here, um, just about everywhere we go, no one speaks English, not even a lick.
Not even the least
Uh,
little bit.
no, no, and I'll say parler l'anglais, which is in French because I'm a moron, and then puedo hablar español because I can speak Spanish, and they're like, no,
Nope.
and then they'll tell me it's Italian. I can speak Italian. It's like, well, no shit. God damn it! I understand you can speak Italian.
So
So
it's a
it's
little
it's
bit of a
been
battle with language there, apparently. Although you and
yeah,
Jorge
and
should be
because
able
it's
to
not a
make
touristy
something
place,
out.
you ask right, right, and it's not a touristy place. So when I asked them the question, and I this morning, for example, Jorge and David went to a farmer's market and went off to do laundry, because that's always been high on their list. As
Uh
soon as
huh.
we arrive somewhere, they got to find a laundromat and do laundry, like 9 loads. These guys go
Okay.
through clothes like crazy. Anyway, so they took off, and I went to go run some errands. And as I was walking around, I was going to find a place to, drink coffee. And I found a place, and I'm sitting, on the sidewalk because, that's what they usually do, have some chairs and tables. And I'm just sitting there, and then there's Dave and Jorge walking right by me. I was like, hey, I'm right here. And so they sat down with me. I went inside to order, because that's another thing. In Europe, you don't have the servers don't come out and rush because it is not typical to tip. So they don't give two flips about you. If you want service, you're gonna have to ask for it.
Uh
So
huh.
I went inside and I wanted to order uh, two more coffees and a black tea for David because David doesn't drink coffee for some reason or eat sardines.
Uh huh.
And so I went to order in English, and the woman behind the bar looked at me like, "What the hell is your problem? I don't understand what you're saying, and I don't want to know what you're saying." And it's kind of this look on her face. And then a younger, the bartender that was there, a younger gal,
Uh
she
huh.
could kind of speak English. She's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, okay, go back to your seat." So it's just and the thing is, this is Italy. It's a part of Italy, and I should be speaking their language. So shame on me for
Very
not being able to.
isolated part of Italy, though.
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
I would
yeah, and you
suspect
get
it's got a lot of differences and characteristics from the mainland.
oh, yep, I would say that.
How long are you going to stay there? What's your plan?
No, we're only going to stay here for a little while, and this is kind of interesting. We were expecting to go to Toulon, France, south
Uh
of
huh.
France, where we're going to park the boat for 3 or 4 weeks while I go back to the United States, pick up Melanie, my wife, and then fly back
Yeah.
here. But we couldn't find a berth, so we've been looking all over the south of France and thinking maybe we need to go back to Barcelona or something. But I filled out some applications, and it looks like we're going to stay in Monaco.
Okay.
I guess because most people are thinking, well, Monaco's too expensive, which it is, but I'm only going to be there for, I don't know, 3 weeks. So I'm kind of curious to see what Monaco's like.
That's a very cool place, ma'am. It is. It's tiny, absolutely tiny. In fact, most of it is that bay where the marinas are, and everybody parks their super yacht.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to meeting a bunch of Russians.
So let's digress into that a little bit.
Sure.
So, Majorca, when we were talking there, you had told me that one of those Russian super yachts was there, and it was the one that Ukrainian engineer apparently attempted to sink. And you saw that, right?
Yeah, that was at our, yeah. And I had taken a picture of it when we arrived because they had us parked very close to them. And I was like, wow, look who our birth mate is here.
Uh
And
huh.
it was huge. And then did a little research on it. It was like, wow, that's kind of interesting. Yeah,
Did it
and it turns out,
did it look like it
yeah,
was sinking? Could you see that it actually sunk to some extent?
no, they were able to. So it had taken on a lot of water, and they were able to salvage it. But a lot of damage. I
Well,
mean,
it
I
said the
don't know
engines
how.
were all. messed up because I guess it filled up
Oh, those
just,
empty, yeah, those units are expensive. They're
yeah.
thousands of horsepower each. So yeah, that's going to cost a lot. And my understanding was when he was arraigned, the judge in front of the judge, he said, yeah, I did it. Well, I worked for him for 10 years. And then when I found out that he's supplying the helicopters, because he's the CEO of the company that supplies the helicopters that are killing Ukrainians, and this guy's Ukrainian, he told the judge, like, look, I had an obligation. He's a murderer.
Yeah.
And he's supplying Putin. So, I'll do it again. It's like, okay, you're released on your own recognizance.
Yeah, they let the guy go as far as I could tell.
Yeah, it likewise. That's all I could.
Because he
That's
said he
all I
was heading to Ukraine to join the army.
fight the Russians. That's right.
Yeah.
So that was interesting that we saw that. And when we
Oh,
left
John,
Barcelona.
I got a
Yeah.
knock joke for you. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Ukraine.
Ukraine who?
You crane your neck and you'll see that Putin's getting his ass kicked. Pretty corny,
Wow.
huh?
That's pretty bad.
That's right down there. So anyway,
So
on to Barcelona. You
yeah,
said,
I got
huh?
yeah, no, I got a few more Russian things. So we left Barcelona, and I'm sorry, we left Mallorca to head to Barcelona. So we get to Barcelona, and we get parked in there, and there's this other super yacht. And the funny thing is, when we were looking at this, the name of the super yacht was Tango, in Mallorca. And David, he's kind of like you in some ways. He said, if whatever super yacht you get, someone's always going to have a bigger one. It's like, well, I don't know, David. There's at some point someone's going to have the biggest, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, it doesn't matter, kind of thing. So it just kind of piqued my interest. Like, well, that's kind of I wonder where this is on the ranking of who's got the biggest super yacht, because how these Russian oligarchs are. I mean, their kids have Facebook pages on conspicuous spending and all this stuff they spend money on.
Yeah.
Probably not so popular right now. But anyway, we leave.
No, I don't think so.
We get to Barcelona, and we are tight. We got a problem because we have to do this med mooring, which means we back up to a concrete quay, and then we've got to do some gymnastics to get off the boat every time.
Yeah.
So we need what's called a parasol or a gangway or gangplank.
Okay.
And it turns out I have a friend who's in Poland who had the same boat as me, but he had some issues. He had to sell it, but he still had this carbon fiber foldable gangplank that would go onto the boat. So we need to modify the boat to accept this gangway, and I need some machining done for some aluminum, for stainless steel. I find a stainless steel fabricator that's right next to this super yacht. Well, it turns out this super yacht is owned by Roman Abramovich. And Roman Abramovich, for your listeners who don't know, he lives in England, and he owns Chelsea soccer team. It's worth $3 billion. When Putin took over, or when Putin first started bombing Ukraine, Abramovich, being an oligarch, he wants to try to distance himself or make himself look like he's a kind person. He puts his Chelsea soccer team. He's having it managed by this charity that he owns to in a way try to distance himself so it doesn't get taken away from him, I guess. Well, that didn't work out for shit.
No.
And so he put it up for sale. But what struck me was that the boat was there. So here's the super yacht, and this is his little yacht. It is the 60th biggest yacht in the world.
Let me put the picture up of that, John, because I've got that picture that you sent me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is in the background.
So I'm looking at the super yacht, and this is contemporaneous with what's going on now with the bombing, and for me, I'm because I know France has already they've confiscated several super yachts of oligarchs. England has done the same thing, and as a matter of fact, if your yacht is registered in Russia or by a Russian company or a Russian own, if your passport is Russian and you have a yacht, you can't go to Gibraltar. You cannot even fuel up there. They're like, we want nothing to do with you. So they're putting the screws to them. And so we're looking at Abramovich's super yacht, I'm thinking, why the hell is this thing here? Why is this still here? We're in Barcelona. I'm thinking, is Spain so lackluster that they're just behind the ball, or,
Uh-huh.
but anyway, within 2 days, we were walking by the yacht and we see a bunch of crew on board, and they got the hell out of there. They got that boat out of there before it got confiscated. So there's some AIS tracker apps where you can find where the boat is now.
How did you get that
But it
picture of
is,
the
yeah,
boat,
they
by the
took
way?
our.
How did you get that picture? You said something about having to sneak in there to
Well,
get it?
I did. I probably should follow rules better, but I don't. And it's kind of a locked area. So I kind of stuck in there and took some pictures of it. But then, when we took the tram, you saw a clear view of of
Uh-huh.
this boat. But here's the other thing. This is really interesting. So I contacted a stainless steel fabricator, and I sent him a drawing of this backing plate that I need for this female socket that we need to install into the back of the boat to accept this parasail,
Mm-hmm.
the gangway. And he's like, okay, great, I'll have it in one day. I was like, wow, that's fantastic. And I went over there to pick it up, and it's right next to Abramovich's yacht. And I thanked the guy, and I said, I know you must be super, super busy. And here's what he said to me. He said, yes, we were, but all the Russians are leaving now, and we've got no work.
Ah.
So this one marina is filled with the biggest super yachts in the world.
The
But the
Barcelona
problem is,
Marina in
yeah,
Barcelona.
yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is, these oligarchs have these big fucking boats, and these guys are all busy, and they've been busy during the COVID-19 restrictions, because for them it doesn't matter that it's a big enough yard that can handle these large super yachts.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, well, all of our clients, which most of them are Russians, are leaving, and that's why I called this guy up. It's like, yeah, I'll get it to you tomorrow, and I was blown away. And had it not been for Putin um, bombing the shit out of Ukraine, I don't think I'd have got that made.
Huh.
So
Well, you can send him a thank you
there's
note,
always
maybe.
a silver lining. To,
Send him a thank
oh,
you note,
Joe,
perhaps.
that, that's inappropriate.
Unfortunately, his website's down.
Oh, that's too bad. Well,
Kremlin
I hear they got a gaggle of hackers that are going after him.
Kremlin.ru is down and
More
has
power
been
to him.
down for days. Now, I don't know if that's deliberate or it's hacked or
No
what.
kidding.
Yeah, it's down. That's where he
Yeah.
posts all of his
Well, good
personal
for him.
stuff.
Oh, well, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm not too interested in his personal stuff. Yeah.
It pays to know what's going on the other side. And there's always two sides to every story, you know? Even if you don't agree with the other side, you'd still like to know what it is.
I bet the early bird gets the worm.
Well, okay. We can go into a lot of detail about the other side of the story, because there are two sides to a story, maybe. But when you talk about a narrative, there can be a million different narratives, especially when you have an oligarch or a lion's sack of meat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We don't need to get into that. Let's stay on some fun stuff. Anyway,
Yeah, right.
when you left Barcelona, you were saying something about a mutiny along the way almost. How did that go down?
Oh, good Lord. Okay, so here's the thing. So the Mediterranean is it's not an ocean, right? It's a sea, and you don't have a lot of fetch. Fetch is just the distance and time that a wave or swells have to develop. So when you're looking at New York all the way to England or to France, as the winds are blowing, you have a lot of distance for these waves to
2,000
or
miles worth
swells
of
to form.
2,000 miles worth of
That's right.
water.
That's right. In the Mediterranean, you don't have that. However, you can have some very, very strong currents, and you
Uh-huh.
have very, very strong. So here's what happened. So I ran about 5 different grid files to figure out exactly what the weather was going to be for our trip from Barcelona to where we are now in Sardinia. And all 5 of them, the worst or the highest wind we would see was going to be 29 knots. And
Okay.
that was only it was going to build up to 29 knots to about, and it was going to be about a 1.3 day passage, right? That's it. And it was going to build up to 29 knots, and then it was going to drop off to like 8 knots as we were starting to get close to our destination. What happened was, within the first day of our trip, winds were building up to 30, 35 knots continuous, and we had the wind right on our freaking noses. So we were supposed to have the wind on our beam, which is on the side of
Uh-huh.
us, which would be good, so we can have some really good sailing weather. Instead, it was right on our nose, so coming right at us. So the waves were coming right at us, and because there was not a lot of fetch, the waves were very steep, and the
Uh-huh.
period, which is the distance between peak to peak, was super short. Unlike in the ocean, where you get, you can we've seen 20-foot
I had read something
swells
about that
before,
being characteristic of the Mediterranean. You got those real short
especially.
waves,
That's right. Short period, not short. They're very tall,
short
but very
periods.
short periods.
Yeah.
So we had breaking waves. I mean, it looked like waves that surfers can surf on, and the period was really, really short. Now, you exacerbate that with, you have a 90. The current was 90 degrees off, going almost 2 knots, right? Which conflicts the seas. So now
Ah.
you have wind pushing the waves and breaking them over the bow, and then the wind, the current is at 90 degrees to that. So what that created was a situation where the boat was just getting beat, and we were beating into these waves, and we come up and onto a crest, and then the boat would fall off the crest, and it was like I remember one point at night, I'm sitting at the helm, and the only thing I can see is like my port and starboard light, which is a red and green light, way up in front of me, and I can just see it going up. It's like, oh yeah, we're going up in the air, and all of a sudden it would drop, and now I'm sitting on the seat, and it feels like we've been dropped off a building, and it just plows into the trough of the wave, and then the windshield gets blue water over it. We're protected, but it's just, as we're hitting, the boat is like a drum, because it's a GRP layup. It's fiberglass, and it was, I mean, it was a hell of a ride.
You
It was
said it was
crazy.
pouring
And
rain also and fog on top of all that, right?
that's right. That's right. So, I mean, we were just getting hammered out there. And I remember at one point I was trying to handle the sails by myself on watch. So I was bringing the Genoa in, and I also was doing something with the main, and
Uh-huh.
we'd had some salt water come into the cockpit, over the course of, let's say, 20 hours or so. And I fell, in the cockpit, and I've got the sheets in my hand, and it was just a nightmare. And I must have done something, because the next morning, I'm sitting there, it's light, and Dave comes up and sits down up in the cockpit, and he said, well, what happened to the boom fang? I was like, well, nothing. And I looked, the boom fang, which is just this device that goes from the base of the mast
Okay.
straight up to part of the boom. So it's just it's like two aluminum poles that go inside of each other with a little big spring. The thing is shaped like an L. It got bent at a 90-degree angle. And I'm looking at that. It's like, well,
Let's
shit,
see.
Dave, I don't know what happened.
I got a boat picture here that I put up in the background. I'm not sure I know where that is exactly. Just trying to figure out what that device looks like.
It just it essentially it holds up the boom, and then or supports the boom. You can
Oh,
bring
I
the boom
see it.
down.
It looks like a little
Yep,
cantilever off the base of the mast that goes up part
that's right.
way, huh? It's a little cantilevered looking
Yep, that's
thing.
right. That's right. Yep.
So it was bent all to
Yes.
shit, huh?
Yeah, 90-degree angle. Yeah. Yeah, and then it bent down and it busted one of our skylights, put a big crack in it. So we got a little drip of seawater coming into the cabin. It was, I'm telling you, it was the worst passage I've ever experienced, and everyone here on the boat, they were, you know, I think Dave said, when we pull in port, I'm gonna get a goddamn hotel. I'm gonna take a shower. And then Jorge's like, me too.
So you were telling me that Jorge didn't do too well as far as seasickness.
Oh yeah, yeah. So here's the problem. What we didn't do was so Dave had noticed on a couple of different passages that he depending on if he had a patch on or not, he his sea legs. It took him longer to get rid of his sea legs. And so when you're on a passage, you develop your sea legs, right?
Yeah.
Because the boat is moving constantly. And if you think you're just going to walk in a straight line, you're out your mind and you're going to hurt yourself. You know,
Uh-huh.
you have to just move with the boat, and it's constantly moving. And in big seas, you know, you're heeled over, and the boat's going up and down, right? So you just develop these sea legs, and then when you go to onto hard land for the first time after being on a passage,
Mm-hmm.
you're walking like you're stoned or drunk. You know, you're just meandering all over the place. And so David noticed that on one of the passages, he had a lot of his sea legs were still on, and he was like moving around. And one time he didn't. So on this passage, he says, I'm going to put a patch on before we start. I'm curious, as an experiment. And these are scopolamine patches, which are they're prescription. You put them behind your ear.
Uh-huh.
They last like 3 days. And Jorge's like, oh no, he's like, I don't need one. Well, this passage was really freaking rough.
So he really did need one, in other words.
Yeah. So Jorge got seasick and he was lights out for like 2 days. I mean, it was bad. I was just making, and also I had some other medication to give him so that he can make.
So did you
At
have to
least
break
drink
out the
some water.
suppositories?
Well, yeah, but I had Dave insert him, not me.
So you were
So we have
also
this device
telling,
that looks like
huh?
I was gonna say we have this device that looks like a potato cannon, and we have those guys. They insert with that.
I see.
That way you don't have to actually make any hand and eye contact.
I see. Okay. Yeah, that eye contact, that might be the rough part.
Right. We're all adults here.
So anyway, I've got the picture of the boat up here still, and you were telling me that bow chair was I see it, that little teak seat up
Oh
there at the
yeah,
very
yeah.
front. You told
So
me that got completely tore off the boat.
oh, this is hilarious. So we're busting through the sea. So the boat would launch up, and I'm telling you, all you see is sky, and then kaplam, it would just slam into the next wave, and sometimes it would be buried, sometimes not, but it would just be. It was really impressive. And Dave was on watch, and the weather's horrible. The winds are blowing like 40 knots at this point, right? 40 knots.
Jesus,
It's blowing
Manezes.
hard. Gust higher than that. I'm talking sustained here. It was impressive. And Dave says, and then you're looking around the seas, and I don't remember seeing seas like this. They're so confused, and there's white caps and then breaking seas everywhere. And as
Uh-huh.
you look in the horizon, it's there's so much white froth and breaking seas. It's as if you're looking at cities in the distance because the texture is so crazy. With big seas, and it just was crazy. It's like, look, it looks like a city over there.
Uh-huh.
But Dave says, hey, John, looks like the teak seat on the bowsprit is loose,
Yeah.
because he said he saw it come up. And then I looked, and we plowed through a wave, and I saw it fly through the air. And that was it. It just deployed. It was gone.
You also said there was
Yeah.
a life ring. I think I see that in the picture, a life ring. It's hard to see in this picture.
Oh my God.
Back near the stern of the boat, like on the port side,
Yep.
near stern.
So one of there are a number of requirements, legal requirements on a boat for safety, and one of them is a throwable life ring. So that's just one of the things we have there, and it's got the stainless steel holder, and it's also
I see
it's
that
held on.
holder. I see exactly what you're talking about.
Right, and it has a line that's attached to it. And then Dave said, "Hey, where's the life ring?" We look, and Jorge says, "Oh, it's there. The line held it on, and it's just dangling at the bottom of the boat."
Uh-huh.
So when it calmed down, Dave went to go grab the line, and he pulled it up, and there were 3 threads left of the life ring, and we have it. It's hilarious looking. It was
Like
it was
3
literally
orange threads, and that was it?
they're like little flags,
Okay.
I mean, it was ripped out of that thing, and then it was held on by the rope, and then it just tore itself to shreds. That's because we were leaned over so far. I mean, that thing was
Oh, it was
underwater.
underwater, wasn't it? Oh,
Absolutely, and it was torn off. Another thing we lost was the American flag and our pole. That thing it disappeared. Joe, it was crazy. The weather was crazy. I mean, the boat, the angles that we were approaching waves and then going into waves. I mean, everything was underwater at some point. And
goodness gracious.
just yeah, yeah. We like I said before, we were a big saltine cracker at the end of the whole thing.
So anyway, moving forward, you say you're going to leave Sardinia here maybe in a day or so, something?
Yeah, yeah. We're
And
thinking of so here's the thing. We're going to take the boat to Ayer, which is spelled Heyers, but it's pronounced yeah, or
okay.
something like that. It's in
Mhm.
France, and Amel has a location there where because there's a few things I want them to work on for the boat.
Yeah,
Just you know things that need to be either repaired or made better.
sure.
Um, and then we're gonna go back to this. I'm going to go back to the States and then bring Melanie. And I just want the boat to be ready, and so they're going to take care of it. But to get there, we're thinking about going up maybe north to Corsica.
Okay.
So we have like 5 days or so. So we'll probably see Corsica.
Oh, okay,
Look
great.
look at a few places there, hang out,
That's not
and then
very far at
cross.
all to Corsica from where you are, at least the southern part of Corsica. I don't know where the
Oh God, no, we're right next to
you're
Corsica.
almost in sight of it, almost practically, right?
That's right. That's right. I mean, we just have to go across the spit here, and we're there in
Okay.
Corsica. But we're going to go along the sail along the west coast of Corsica,
West, okay,
north.
all right.
Yeah, and sail north, and we'll probably stop a few places. We might even anchor off somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Um, um, yeah, because that's something we wanted to do in Mallorca, because there were a couple of places on the motorcycles that we found were just stunning. We were on a hill looking down at some marinas that were so remote
Uh-huh.
that we wanted to check those out. We didn't have the opportunity at the time because we wanted to get to Barcelona, but yeah, we'll probably do that.
So a
Yeah,
little sightseeing off the coast of Corsica and then on to Monaco after that, probably, and then from there
no,
to
no, it's going to
Ayer.
be sightseeing along Corsica, then over to Ayer, which is in
Oh, to
France.
Ayer first. Oh,
Yeah,
not
so we're going to
Monaco.
be there. Yeah, no, we're going to be at Ayer for the 21st for sure. They're going to have the boat for 5 days
Oh,
till the 25th, and then we're going to take the boat from there to Monaco and
I
park it.
see. And so you can leave it in Monaco then for a few days or weeks, whatever.
Weeks, yeah, yeah, and then we'll leave from there, head to the States, and then pick up Melanie, and then we're going to fly back, and then do some other sailing.
Okay. Well, she'll
Uh,
like Monaco, I think. It's beautiful, really.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not joking. I'm going to rent a car and I'm going to do the track.
Well, that whole area there along that south coast of France, it reminds you a lot of the coastal California,
Really?
central coastal California. Very, very upscale, very pretty.
I
Lot of,
love Pacific Coast Highway, Highway 1.
lot,
I've driven in.
yeah, the Bosque Corniche is like that. Bosque Corniche, that's
Nice.
the low road. No, wait a minute, I might be saying that. No, Bosque Corniche, that's the high road. No, Bosque Corniche is a low road. Boss is low. So that's the
That's good.
low coastal road. There's also a high road. Can't remember what that's called. Something Corniche. Then you got that
Well,
Cape Jean. What is that thing? Saint
I can't.
John, Saint Jean Cap Ferrat is a really interesting little area there in France, adjacent to Monaco. It's just right down the road on that Bosque Corniche.
Yeah, we'll have to spend some time there
There's a lot
and
of
check it out.
interesting, very, very pretty, and some incredibly good food there as well.
Yeah,
Oh my
good.
God, that's one of my favorite places I've ever been. All
I
right,
got to tell you. So
huh?
yeah,
Go ahead.
no. Yeah, we'll have more to report in the future here.
All right. Well, if you got nothing else, I think I'm going to fade us out and we'll stop. Don't hang
bet.
up. I'll talk to you for just a minute.
Okay.